In this episode of the Courageous Public Health Podcast, Leonore Okwara reflects on how lived experience can transform the way we understand public health. After being diagnosed with breast cancer, Leonore found herself navigating the healthcare system not only as a public health professional, but also as a patient. That experience reshaped how she thinks about research, community partnership, and the knowledge that comes from living through what we study. This conversation explores courage, community, trust, lived experience, and what becomes possible when we recognize the people closest to the experience often have the deepest understanding of what needs to change. You're listening to the Courageous Public Health Podcast, episode 65.
To all the courageous women leading in public health, this podcast is your space to turn up the volume on your courage. This space centers your voice. This space celebrates your passion. This space amplifies your courage. My role? To listen, to amplify, and to stand with you in the fight for equity. My name is Dr. Christy McClamrock. I am an epidemiologist, consultant, the founder and CEO of Courageous Public Health, and the host of the Courageous Public Health Podcast. Each week, I have real, unfiltered conversations with women in public health about the challenges you face, the power you hold, and your vision for the future. We talk about the authenticity, vulnerability, and courage that you bring, not just to public health, but to every part of your lives. Because courage is about action, even in fear. It's about taking up space, leading unapologetically, refusing to be erased, and knowing you never have to do it alone. If you're ready to turn up the volume on your courage, if you're ready to take up space, if you're ready to smash the racist, patriarchal, cisnormative, heteronormative, ableist, capitalistic systems, then listen to this new episode.
Welcome to the Courageous Public Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Christy McClamrock. Who holds the knowledge we need to create healthier communities? We often look to research, data, and professional expertise, and those do matter. But lived experience matters too. Sometimes the people closest to the problem can see things the rest of us can't. They ask different questions. They notice different needs. They help us imagine different solutions. Through Courageous Public Health, I create opportunities for leaders and organizations to have these kinds of conversations, because better decisions become possible when we value different kinds of knowledge, lived experience, and ways of seeing the world. Today's interview is with Leonore Okwara. Leonore is a breast cancer survivor, clinical and community engaged researcher, advocate, and speaker dedicated to strengthening partnerships between communities, researchers, and academic and healthcare organizations. After being diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in 2023, Leonore's experience with surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and reconstruction deepened her commitment to improving how communities are engaged, supported, and represented in research and healthcare. Through advocacy, storytelling, and education, she empowers individuals to know their bodies, advocate for themselves, embrace the power of community, and find joy while navigating survivorship and life beyond cancer. Here's my conversation with Leonore Okwara.
Hi, everybody. So I'm here today with Leonore Okwara, and I'm really happy to have you here. I'm ready for us to dive into some good stuff. How's it going? How are you doing?
It's going well. Like, my baby graduated high school and she's still a newborn to me. So to see a newborn walking across the stage is like amazing. It's incredible. But I'm still on the high from that. So I feel really good. I'm happy to end the week being interviewed by you.
Thank you so much. Yes, this is a really nice way to end our week. Mine as well. Yeah. So I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself. You've now already introduced yourself a little bit as the mom of a recent high school graduate, which is so exciting and I'm sure feels so good. But let me let you introduce yourself if there are any other ways as well.
Yeah, so I'll continue with the personal. I am a mom of 3, so I have a 17-year-old daughter who just graduated high school, as I said, 14-year-old daughter who's going to high school, and then a 10-year-old son. He'll be going to the 5th grade. I am a wife. My husband is in the Coast Guard, and we have traveled all over the country for the past over 20 years now.
Wow.
And so we are currently in Maryland. We've been here since 2019. And it has been a great experience where I've experienced the high of the highs here and the low of the lows here as well. So it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah.
Professionally, I am a senior research program manager at Johns Hopkins. I was hired to help build a gene therapy clinical trial program, and that's been going incredibly. I've worked there for the past 4 years, but prior to that, I was in community engaged research, and that is my baby, the boots on the ground work. I love interacting with the community and really trying to bring together the institution and the community and build that trust, because we all know, how communities feel about research and things that have happened in the past. And so to be a part of bringing those two groups together, bringing them to actually partner and allowing space for the institutions and the community to come together and understand each other. It has been an incredible experience to see. And, I'm just so honored to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That is really powerful work to be able to bridge that gap. And obviously there have been real breaches of trust that get to be addressed.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to continue to be that way.
It doesn't.
So that's great. Well, that certainly, I think, leads us nicely into our first question about courage. So I always like to frame this question by reminding people about bravery versus courage. So bravery is about taking action without fear, but courage is about taking action despite fear. And I think that fear is often present, and it's something that is something that can actually be an important catalyst for us. So I really want to hear from you about some examples and experiences in your life where you have acted courageously.
I love the distinction between the two. And I often tell my kids when they're experiencing something and they say, "Mom, I'm nervous, I'm afraid." And I said, I would be worried if you weren't afraid. You're going to go into this, you're going to learn so much about yourself. And I just think that is just a wonderful experience for all of us to go through. But my experience began almost 3 years ago. It was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It was October. And I received the phone call that I had breast cancer. And it was an interesting experience because I had a feeling something was going on. There were many events leading up to it. But to get that call during a time where people are wearing pink and they are celebrating, and they're celebrating their survivorship. And here I am receiving that call, not knowing the future, hearing, the voice of the enemy saying, "You won't make it to your daughter's graduation." So that's why I started with that because I did.
Yes.
Made it.
So worth celebrating.
Baby, graduate when I did not know if that was going to be the case. So backing up, when I first moved to Maryland, I worked for University of Maryland College Park as a program manager for a community-based group. We did a lot of community outreach and engagement, a lot of research in the cancer space. So we would work with churches in the community. We would train, it was like peer education. So we would train church members to be peer health educators or community health ambassadors for their church community. They would teach about early detection, about prevention for breast, prostate, and colorectal cancer. So I was a part of this experience, and it was incredible. I met so many people in the community, but specifically around breast cancer. And so that was very interesting to me, that now I am a part of this community and I have a support system
Amazing.
already. So when I was diagnosed, I had people I was able to reach out to. One of my closest colleagues came with me to my biopsy. And, I had a group of people who, once I received the news, I reached out to them and shared it. And they knew exactly what to do. And that began my journey. So I had a double mastectomy. I made that decision. That was hard. We also had to tell my children. And so that was a big deal. We told them individually because they're different people and they respond to things differently. And I wanted them to be able to ask questions. And I feel like my work in the community, having conversations with different people, really prepared me for this moment with them. To be able to sort of set my feelings aside, my fears aside, and just allow them a space to talk. So we decided on a double mastectomy. And then I found out I needed chemo and radiation. So I had 8 rounds of chemo, lost all my hair. I had the pictures, husband cutting off the hair. And then I had 33 rounds of radiation. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, there was a lot. There were multiple surgeries in between. And in the meantime, I was still working. Like I would be during chemo, they would roll up a desk and I'm just typing and doing my work because like people were like, how did you do that? But it afforded me that sense of normalcy. Looking back, I wish I would have taken more of a break, but in the moment, you do what you have to do to survive. You don't know what the future holds. You're fearful about what it holds. But you know that you need to move forward. And so that was a big deal for me. I had my children, I had my husband to help drive me to push forward. Some people don't have that. So we have to look at other ways to move forward. And even if you don't have cancer, in other ways, in general, we need to look for something to move forward, help us move forward. So it would be me waking up and seeing the sunshine where I couldn't wait to do it. Couldn't wait to wake up and see that and just be grateful for the day. I also decided to, I knew I was going to lose my hair. So I made sure I got dressed every day and I picked out a new lipstick to wear. And so I have pictures of myself doing that. But it really taught me about myself and how I operate in that fear, and how I use those opportunities to learn about myself, but then also to connect with people. And so now being on the other side of this, I realize how important it is for researchers in public health to have people with lived experiences come to the table, because like before cancer, I knew this. We had community advisory boards I would help lead. We engage the community in so many ways. But once you experience something, there are different questions I would have asked. There are different ways we would have approached some of the interviews we did. And so I think it's really important to not only have these, twice a year meetings with the community, but for them to be a partner in every step of the way. So that's what opened my eyes to that as well.
I want to go back to what you said about telling each of your children individually, because each one, they're separate people and they respond in different ways. And that I felt that, like when you said that, I only have one child, but still I was like, yes, that is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful gift to give to your children.
Beautiful gift. You're right. And isn't that how it is in public health? I mean, no community is the same, right?
Exactly.
Which is why our field is so important. There isn't, a one treatment option for this. It's what is the community? What is their culture? What do they value? we may feel like, the lemons are important and there's grant funding for lemons, but
Right.
they may feel like apples are important. We're not even thinking about the lemons. So,
Right. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's the same way. It's the same way. And it just showed me in real time, how important our roles are in public health.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure I know that there are lots of people in public health who have had their own health challenges, let's say, their own health crises even to deal with. And it is, I think it is a different experience as a public health person to go through something like what you're talking about, and to have both the lived experience and the professional experience. That's a special combination of things.
Yes. I agree. And it isn't often, like you said, that you see this combination, but I feel like this is why researchers and community need to come together, because the researchers need to teach the people with lived experience about the research process. They should know what it is to sit down and come up with a research question and how we plan out a study design and the grant process, the publication process. They're a part of this. They should have that input. And there are some people who are doing it really well. And I know it takes a lot of time. I know, funders aren't funding this relationship building part of things, but I've seen it in action, and I've seen the long-term relationship that happens because of it. So yeah, I just wish that there were a lot of people who have this experience that I have, both the research and the lived experience. I just think it'll make things smoother, and the research will actually help who it was meant to help and be sustainable.
And I can see how, as a researcher or public health professional, I can see how talking about that lived experience, being open about that lived experience, that can feel really scary. That can feel really scary. And I think there's benefit, like you're saying, there's benefit not just for the community. I think there's also benefit for the person.
Absolutely.
To be able to really claim both of those roles simultaneously.
Yes. And you know what? I haven't had time to reflect on that, but it is true that, it is scary to share this story in a professional space, because I was so used to separating, not with the community more or less, but just, in the academic institutions I worked for, in front of a bunch of professors and my colleagues and peers and all of that. There was a certain persona I had as a researcher and peer. And so being able to share, or sharing something so personal, I did worry about how I would be perceived. And also, cancer is a big part of my life. And even though I'm not actively going through treatment right now, I finished the active portion, I'm still in the maintenance. I'm still taking medications where I have a lot of side effects. I'm still afraid of what may happen. Any itch, any pain, it has become a part of my life. And I'm sure, many people who have had something traumatic happen to them feel the same way. It's just, this is a part of you. You want to let it go and you can't. Like, it played a significant role in your life. And so I often worry about if I'm leading too much with that. Am I talking about it too much? Am I using it as an excuse because I don't feel well, And so it's like, I do feel better than I did when going through chemo, but I just don't feel well. The brain fog, my hormones changing because of the medication. I had hormone breast cancer. And so they've removed as much estrogen from my body as possible. And so having to deal with those things, I want to still show up as I did before. But I'm not the same person. So it is hard to navigate personally.
I mean, you're talking about being authentic, right? Like, it is authentic to say, I don't feel as bad as I felt during chemo, but I still don't feel like I just still don't feel good. I still don't feel like I felt before I got my, before this whole thing started. I mean, that's being real. That's being authentic. And that can be hard. Yeah.
It can be hard. It can be hard. I feel like it's also important the community you have around you too. My coworkers, my supervisors, they have been incredible. Like I could not have asked for a better group to be in my community, in my circle for one of the hardest times of my life. And so for me to be able to talk to my supervisor, and I don't have to tell her all my business, but I choose to. She's been on the journey with me. She's not requiring it, but I do share, like, I am just not feeling well. Like, this is what's going on. She's like, Leonore, it's okay. You have time. Like, use your time. You don't have anything to prove. Like,
yeah.
And so that was helpful as well. And I understand a lot of people don't have that. And I've been privileged during this entire journey. And it has made it a lot easier. But, I recognize there are people who don't have that privilege. And that hurts as well, because I'm a softie. I think about them all the time. I have a list of resources too, if there's anyone out there dealing with breast cancer. But yeah, the community around you is important as well.
Maybe we can put a link to that list of resources in our show notes.
Sounds
I'd love
good.
to do that. I would love to do that. So talk to me a little bit about expressing your power, your courage in spaces where it hasn't always been welcomed. I love that you're actually talking about it in a space where it has been welcomed with your supervisor. And that is really beautiful. So like shout out to your supervisor.
Yes.
Because that's a generous, I hate to even say generous because it shouldn't have to be generous. Exactly. It shouldn't even have to be categorized that way. But I do think that it's generous. And, but yeah, what about that same sort of expression of authenticity and expression of power in places where it hasn't always been welcome?
Yeah, that's really hard. Being in the military, I've worked all over. And so I've had my experiences at different places where they weren't always as welcoming. I think the hardest thing for me was when I was younger and I'm trying to establish myself as a professional. I'm a young Black woman in a space where I am the only Black woman, and also working for supervisors that are women in male dominated spaces. And so that was an interesting dynamic because they were trying to establish themselves as respectable, researchers, professionals in the field, subject matter experts. And so they were dealing with their own struggles with their male counterparts. And then here I am trying to establish myself. Right. And I was pretty confident, like in my ability to interact with the community, engage with them. I had experiences where I saw the fruits of my labor, where some communities were not on board with doing research because of the experiences they had with other institutions. Sure. And then here I come, and they are like our top recruiting site. Like they told me, we're doing this one last time. So if you mess it up, we're never participating in research again. So I've had these experiences. So I was feeling pretty confident. And so there were struggles with my supervisor, the dynamic they had going on. And then here I am, this young Black woman coming in, feeling very confident with myself and my experiences. And so that has caused issues in the past. And I think what was helpful, though, and what's helpful in any situation is communication. To really just let people know I'm on your team too. There is no competition. Right. I'm on your team too. And I think over time I was able to show that us being on the same page just makes things better. And that's always hard to do because you never know how someone will receive that in any situation. It happened to go well,
Yeah.
but it may not go well. So I think, that has been my experience, is just trying to assert myself and, trying to stand strong in who I am and know my abilities and what I've done, but dealing with some pushback and tension from others.
Yeah, because I mean, the other people they're also dealing with these systems that
Absolutely.
make it very difficult to function. And so, they're trying to maneuver those systems. You're trying to maneuver through those systems. But I agree with you that, when there's an opportunity to be like, you know what, we're both doing similar things, right? Like it's a similar fight.
Exactly. Let's let down our guard and
Yeah.
let's talk
Yes.
about, just have a
Yes.
honest conversation.
Yes. Right. I mean, that to me is an incredibly vulnerable thing to do, is like when it feels like there's tension that's being created, which, by the way, I feel like the systems are designed to create tension,
Right.
and
Yes.
stress between the people who are being oppressed by the system,
Yes.
when there can be some vulnerability and then connection and communication.
Yes.
That to me is actually a way to push back against the systems.
I agree. I completely agree. That's wonderful.
So I definitely want to hear about your vision for the future and, the vision for public health, how you see yourself and other women in your community, which can obviously be defined in multiple ways, shaping the future, and then your vision for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the vision for public health. Oh, that's a big one.
It's a big one.
What I would love to see, and mine comes from being in community-based research for most of my career, but I would love to see more partnerships between the community and the institutions. I've seen it done well, where our community members are published authors, and that's incredible.
That's
To me.
incredible.
And so if other people could follow that process, it would just make things so much better. We talk about, getting grants, doing research in the community, and then the researchers leaving when funds are over. And so we had this transformational, project in the community where the community benefited from it, and then it goes because we're out of money. Like that is unethical to me.
It
And
is.
so to be able to train the community and what they need to do to carry on, to sustain that for them, is something that should be a no-brainer. When your researchers are thinking about an idea, they're putting together a budget. Yes, we know salaries, they cost a lot of money in academia. But also there needs to be funding put towards sustainability. The community, this is their livelihood. And so I would love that to just be standard across all research institutions, where you are partnering with the community, those with lived experiences, and that they are respected just as the PI of a study is respected. Their value is even higher because they are bringing the knowledge that you don't have, that can't be found in the literature. So that would be my goal, what I pray about in public health.
And it's like as a researcher, we get to create something really, important, but it's the community members who are going to then take that into the future. That's where the real impact happens, right? It's actually after we walked out the door, like you're saying.
Exactly.
So that they are important. They are the future.
They are the future. Like, this is how things work. Like, they carry on for generations, and we want there to be an impact. We talk about generational trauma and things like that. Like, we want there to be improvement in generations to come, and we want to equip everyone with the tools that they need to be able to continue making that change. So that's what I would like to see. It would be wonderful, but
I
I
love
know
that.
funds are an issue. But I feel like there are ways around it too, and I've seen it done. So
Yeah.
I don't see the excuses don't mean anything to me because
Yeah.
I've seen it done.
Yeah. Well,
So
and making that the culture of research, like we get to actually change the culture, is an opportunity for us to change the culture.
it
You know,
absolutely is.
so the new research that the new researchers, the up and coming, professionals, that's, I mean, I agree with you. Like that should be the culture.
It should
Love,
be.
yeah.
Exactly. And like I said, when I was doing research prior to being diagnosed with breast cancer, we were interviewing young Black women under 40 who were diagnosed with breast cancer and just asking about their experience. What was it like? What resources did you have, especially being younger? They're not going to do a mammogram. So how did you have to fight to get this done? What was insurance like? So we were asking all the questions. But now being on the other side of it, there's so many more questions I would have asked on a deeper level, knowing what I know now. And so I feel like there's so much more opportunity because of this lived experience to go deeper and to create a social media marketing campaign, which was the goal, to help women become aware of, like, you may be under the 40, you still need to check actively for, breast cancer and be aware of early detection and things you can do now outside of a mammogram. So, that would be great for community and academia to really partner in a meaningful way.
So I'm just thinking one of the phrases that I've been playing around with lately is reimagining public health as deeply human.
Yes.
And thinking about how that connects to my vision for courageous public health.
Yes.
And so this lived experience piece, that is part of it, right?
Yes,
that is part of public health. And it's not, I don't even want to say public health should be deeply human. Public health gets to be deeply human.
Gets to be.
And it is deeply human.
Yeah.
And so, what are the opportunities for us to really lean into that? What an interesting, so it's something I've been thinking about as
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I have a story for everything, but I have
love
a story
you for that.
a story about that and the whole deeply human thing.
Tell me.
When I first started out in research, I knew nothing about research at that time. I was in my master's program, and so I started working for this researcher who was doing asthma research in the community. So what we would do was go door to door. At the time, there's no social media and things like that. To make things easier, we were literally knocking on doors in affordable housing communities and saying, "Hi, I'm with this research institution and we're doing XYZ."
Yeah.
The goal was, because there was such a high rate of asthma in that area, we were going in providing asthma education and also providing remediation items. So HEPA vacuum cleaner, mattress cover, pillow cover, air conditioner. Some situations we'd be able to move them to a different housing community because they were across from this like coal pier. It's like a mountain of coal dust that they would spray throughout the day to avoid the spread, but you could see it collecting in windows and things like that. And so that's where I learned about the trust, the lack of trust between the community and research, because I went there every day to those communities, talking to people, having these conversations, hearing about their experiences, hearing about what they know about historically about people in research and what has happened, the abuse that has happened. And one day I was walking in the community, and they had seen me so much at this point that they said, "Hey, asthma lady." And so, Christy, when I got the name, I said, oh, okay. Like, this is what it is. Like,
Yes.
they consider me as part of their community. They've seen me around. They know who I am. So they've given me a nickname. So when you talked about, reimagining public health as like deeply human, that's what it is. These are the experiences we want to have. To break those barriers and for people to be able to then come together and have the conversations once, the barriers are removed. So I love that. I love it so
Thank
much.
you. That's a great story. Yes. Asthma lady.
Asthma lady. I love it. I said,
Yes.
I made it. I gave a nickname. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So in terms of community, my vision is for women to know their bodies.
Yes.
And I
Sorry.
think it is.
Yes.
It sounds easy, but it's not. And I get that. But because I felt something was wrong and I pushed for it, I was able to get a mammogram and then, led to my diagnosis. But ever since then, like I've noticed so many little things about myself. I was going to have reconstructive surgery in February. Literally a week before, I felt another lump. So because over the years I've had that experience, I do self-breast exams. Even though I don't have breasts anymore, I still check the surrounding tissue to make sure I know if something has changed.
Yes.
And people say, how do I know? How do I know if there's a difference? Well, because you start to feel.
Yeah.
You learn your body. And then the next month, I say, on the first of every month, do a self-breast exam.
Yep.
You learn, okay, this wasn't here before. Let me go have it checked out. And so to me, not just in the area of breast cancer, but in general, we really need to understand how our body works. It may not be textbook. And that bothers me with so many providers. I've seen so many, and they've said, well, this isn't what's in the literature. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Because this is what's happening to me now. And guess what? It was breast cancer. Yeah. So that would be my vision for the future in my community is to learn your body.
Absolutely. That's, yes, I had a big reaction when you said that. It's like, yes. Know our bodies. We get to know our bodies. That is not the message that we get as women.
It's not
at all. It's like,
it's not.
The message is like, don't know your body. Don't touch your body. Don't look at your body. Don't understand your body. So I really feel that strongly. I've talked a little bit. Well, I don't know that I've talked about it in the podcast, but I've talked before about realizing that like I never spent any time like without my clothes on. Like I would get up and I would take a shower and then I would like wrap a towel around me and then I would take the towel off and then get dressed, and then I'd like take my clothes off and put on my nightgown. And so a woman that I was doing some work with, like personal kind of work with, challenged me to spend time looking at myself in the mirror naked.
Yes.
And it was so hard. I was shocked at how uncomfortable it made me. And I'm like, I'm someone who's done, like taught about sexual health and STDs and HIV and all of this stuff. I have no problem talking about it, but actually doing it, it was hard. And I remember what she said. She said, you don't have to love what you see, but can you be neutral about it?
Exactly. I love that.
So it was only by like actually making it a practice that over time, instead of being like, oh, I hate my this, I don't like my that. It was like, I have a mole on my right hip, or whatever it is. It was just observing. And so, that's more part of that is in terms of like body image and all that stuff. But also just like seeing what is there so that if something changes, even on my skin, like I get a rash or a mole that darken, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like so I felt like that actually was a really powerful practice for me. And it's absolutely changed the way that I think about my body and how I treat my body and how I feel about it. So
no, that is so good because we are hardwired. Look at society. Look at what we see on social media. That's our immediate thought. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, this is something. Oh, this is this. And you miss important things that are going on because that is our that's what we first see.
Yes.
And so I love that you said that, like, look at it from a neutral place. If I'm looking at my child, like to see, oh, wait, no, that doesn't look right. I'm not looking at them saying, oh, they have this, they have that. No, I'm seeing them from a neutral eye because I see something that wasn't there before. Even with my dog, we have a dog. I'll look at him. He's a beagle. He loves to stick his nose in everything. So in our backyard, he stuck his nose in a hole. We didn't know there was a beehive in the hole. So he comes out and his eye is, and I said, oh my gosh, like something happened. And it's because I know how he was before. I know there is a change. I'm not looking at him saying, oh, he's this, he's that. No. So it goes for everyone. We need to give ourselves grace. We need to go in, as you said, look at things from a neutral perspective. This is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking at anything else. I'm just taking inventory of what my baseline is. So I can see what changes, and we owe that to ourselves.
And it's funny because, I think that is challenging for all women. But it's also seems to be challenging for women who are in the health field. And it's like, okay, enough of that. Enough of that ridiculousness. Like that is, to me, that is about patriarchy and
it is absolutely.
That's part of my vision too, is, I want to live in a world where, we reject that. And we know our bodies and and we get to live, full, expansive lives in our wonderful, beautiful bodies.
Exactly.
No matter what they are.
I know. And I've had to change that, my perception of myself. I mean, having a mastectomy and then had expanders in, and then, one got infected. So now I'm walking around with one fake breast and, that. And I still have to check myself. I still have to make sure there isn't anything going on. So I was faced with that, like having to accept that and knowing I'm observing for a reason. I'm not looking at what's not there, but I'm doing this for a reason. And, I hope we all are able to look past those things and really focus on learning ourselves and our bodies. So
what a fun place our conversation went. This is awesome. I love it.
I know.
This is great.
And then lastly, I think for myself.
Yes, please.
Going through this cancer experience, I am so grateful for, the little things, which aren't little in the grand scheme of things. My mind is able to tell my body to get up out of bed. I'm able to put my feet on the floor and move. I'm able to think about what's ahead. I'm able to go to my daughter's band concert or my oldest daughter's art gallery or my son's football game. I'm able to do those things. And I think in a world where, professional women, we're here, we have goals professionally, we want to do this, we all have tunnel vision when it comes to those things, that we forget about those little things. The trees, the leaves moving on the trees, being able to sit and smell the coffee instead of just taking it back to give me energy. The act of stirring in creamer in the coffee. And so for myself, that is my vision for myself, is to continue seeing the joy in the little things because it could have been taken away immediately.
Yep.
Professionally, I, just want to make it my mission to talk about the importance of early detection and prevention of breast cancer, but also the importance of having community advisory boards that make meaningful change in the community and academically. Everyone should be different. Not just the community should change, but the researchers should change, and from then on do things differently. So I would love to just be at the table with researchers who are interested in bringing on community advisory boards or engaging the community in some way. I would love to just be there to help them along with that. So
yep.
That's me in a nutshell.
I love it.
Breast cancer, all of those things.
Yeah, all of those things. All of the above, please.
All of the above.
Oh my gosh, Leonore, this has been a great conversation.
Yes, I agree.
Appreciate you so much. I want to make sure. So we'll put the link to the resources in the show notes.
Okay.
I want to make sure that our listeners know how to get in touch with you. What's the best way to connect?
Yes, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn. Just look up Leonore Okwara. So add me there.
Yeah.
I post on Instagram and TikTok. And so it's Leonore O. And so what I've been doing is just showing my life post breast cancer and being in medical menopause. I have a little menopause belly now that I can't get rid of. But my oncologist has told me that he always prescribes medicine, walking with the medicine. So that is part of my prescription. And so I show
Beautiful.
Me working out. I also talk about my thoughts about just going through this journey in real time. So you could see a little bit more about my journey and my daily thoughts there.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. Okay. We'll put all those links in the show notes. And great to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Really, really excited. Now we have this connection. Now we're connected.
Yes, we are. You can't get rid of me now. It's too late. So we're connected now for the foreseeable future.
Great. Thank you again, Leonore.
We know research matters. We know lived experience matters. And we know community matters. And yet, too often, the people closest to the experience are invited into the conversation only after the most important decisions have already been made. Leonore Okwara reminds us that we make better decisions when we widen our field of vision, when we value different forms of knowledge, when we stay curious, when we invite more voices into the conversation. That's how trust grows. That's how stronger communities are built. If this conversation resonated with you, you'll find ways to connect with Leonore and with Courageous Public Health in the show notes. Until our next episode, stay courageous.
Thank you for listening to the Courageous Public Health podcast. Visit courageouspublichealth.com to find the show notes for each episode and learn how to connect with us.